The Anthony Fatayi-Williams Foundation for Peace, Reconciliation and Youth Development is drawing attention to the urgent need to equip Nigeria's youth with the required skills to harness the opportunities that abound in the digital economy post-COVID-19. Take a look.
It's a first for the Anthony Fatayi-Williams Foundation for Peace, Reconciliation and Youth Development, but certainly not the last. The beginning of a series of webinars bringing together great minds who are invested in critical aspects of Nigeria's development. The focus of this maiden edition is dwindling national revenue, roadmap to lifting Nigeria's youthful population out of poverty in a post-COVID digital economy.
Today is the 15th anniversary of the passing to glory of my late son.
The meeting coincides with the 15th anniversary of the death of Anthony Fatayi-Williams, in whose memory the foundation was established after the London bombings of 2005, known as 7/7. A minute is taken to remember the lost, including thousands lost to the COVID-19 pandemic. The chair of the Anthony Fatayi-Williams Foundation, Dame Marie Fatayi-Williams, highlights the essence of the meeting.
What you may ask is digital economy. To say it briefly, it's an economy that is based on digital computing technologies, or simply put, a web or internet economy. It has its own pros and cons, especially how it impacts a developing country like Nigeria, which has a huge population of youth and which also has a backbone of poverty.
Among attendees is the Director General of the Budget Office, Mr. Ben Akabueze, who was the guest speaker among other speakers as well as other participants.
Okay, the digital economy provides a good opportunity for Nigeria to productively engage its youth post-COVID. The government is committed to partnering with the private sector and development partners to create that conducive environment for job creation and poverty reduction. And so government has launched what we call the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, NDEPS, and the goal being to empower youth in the ICT area. And government is committing to ensuring effective implementation of these initiatives, and hopefully we will reap the demographic dividend as we do so.
The next speaker focuses on the economic impact of COVID-19 and the inevitability of technology in economic recovery.
But there is certainly a lot of room for change, improvement. We all have to pivot to a different level, especially in the government area, which we haven't necessarily seen that pivot happen yet. But I'm sure that I know there's lots of papers that have been written, but our government must pivot to this new way of governance, of working, and embrace digital technology.
And the social impact of the pandemic on low-income individuals and other social implications are covered by another speaker.
We need to channel money into development, into those socio-political environment things, infrastructure that we're talking about. COVID-19 has created more poverty, has added to the poverty of people in the informal sector.
There's a question and answer segment which gives more time for in-depth discussions on the need to expedite efforts and policies to position Nigeria better to harness the opportunities inherent in the digital economy, putting into consideration the potential in the country's youthful population.
I spoke with the chair of the Anthony Fatayi-Williams Foundation, Dame Marie Fatayi-Williams, about how the foundation has been achieving its objectives over the years and contributing to societal goals. Here's what she told me.
The first few years were very prime mover years because it was hot on me then, even though it was painful. And the grace of God propelled me to do the things I tried to do. And the first thing we did in 2006 here in Lagos was like a peace forum where we had like 500 youths gathered at the Institute of International Affairs. And we had the cooperation of the then immediate past governor then of the then governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu Asiwaju, and his chief of staff then, who became a governor after Babatunde Raji Fashola. They were expecting Martin Luther King Jr. to come to Lagos, to visit Lagos. And we had been working with them on this foundation, and they said, oh, fine, if your program is happening, we will use that as a platform for this legacy speech, which is a preaching against violence, no violence. So it was a perfect thing. So we had that forum, and that legacy speech was redelivered. And at the end of the day, we charged all the youths that came to become youth ambassadors for peace in the various schools that they came from. Because at that time, we were having a lot of Niger Delta conflict and a lot of civil unrest. That was where we were 15 years ago in Nigeria, not bombings and everything. We were in Niger Delta, South-South conflicts, and civil unrest, political unrest, and kidnappings, political kidnappings and killings. So these were our focus, to say, let's try and see how we can talk to them. And that was our first our first engagement. Then the second one was with selected youths, about 200 of them, from those hotspots, Niger Delta, the north, and southwest. We gathered them at the center in VI, and we discussed two things: the Niger Delta conflict and civil unrest. And then we broke out into breakout sessions and said, okay, you provide the solutions to this thing that is really troubling our country. And I can tell you, we have it all in a booklet and everything, which was circulated as a communique. The things they said then are still so relevant today, that unemployment, we're not fully engaged. We are not happy with the state of things in our, not that we like violence, we don't like violence. We know violence is not good. It's even destroying our own community. If we blow pipelines, we don't want to do it. But our skylines do not reflect the wealth that is coming from here. And there's another one we did was peace and the rule of law. And I remember that very clearly, because guess who was my chief guest speaker? The current vice president, but he wasn't vice president then. It was, this was in 2008, I think, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. And he talked copiously on the role of the youth, then the rule of law and peace, and that without rule of law, there can never be peace, because there was a need for it. I saw the need about harnessing youths, about making sure they were gainfully employed, about changing the psyche and making sure that they did not get corrupted by people who will come and make them bombers, never knowing that this kind of thing would be happening in Nigeria. Because if truth be told, 15 years ago when this thing happened, I was interviewed by BBC and asked me, what do you think this can happen in your country? I said, never. I was so sure. I said, in my country, a thing like this, bombing of people and killing people, it can never happen, because we love each other too much, we are religiously tolerant with each other, and our youths cannot be used for these kinds of things. I can remember very clearly. And it's a different thing now. Suddenly, you have Chibok. Suddenly, you have Elia Shaibu, who is still in captivity. And it pains my heart personally, because I have prayed that no other, if it's the only thing I can do in my life, I beg my God to say, let no other mother go through what I have been through in the loss of my son, through this terrorist action. So I am in deep sympathy, deepest of sympathy with Elia Shaibu's family, deepest of sympathy with the Chibok family. That's why you could see that I wore a red beret at the time, and I joined the Lagos movement to walk all the way to Fashola's office at the time and protested about the Chibok girls, whatever. Not for any gain for anything, but for the passion and the fact that I know what they are suffering. You will never know except it touches you, and I pray it never touches people for them to get to know, because the pain is indescribable. It's only by the grace of God that you survive. It's only by the grace of God and by doing things that bring joy and happiness to other people. So that's been what we've done. And of course, in between all of that time, whether we are LOL or not, we reach out to the poor women and children. We reach out to the poor in whatever way we can.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. You can connect with us on social media. The addresses are showing on your screen. I'm Uche Aluku. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.